It is Heisman Watch Wednesday, and as a reminder, we're not going to tell you who we think will win at the end of the season. These are the 5 guys you'd invite if the Heisman Trophy was given out this weekend. This is the current odds right now. C.J. Stroud leads the pack. Caleb Williams coming in behind him. Bryce Young down to 3, but still not too shabby. Stetson Bennett. A little preview, you guys like him on your list. And finally, Dylan Gabriel rounds out the top 5. But for you, we have 2 new additions to the top 5. Blake has added Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. So excited to talk about him. And Carl officially adding in Will Anderson after talking him up for a few weeks. He's finally on that list. But the biggest difference that I see between these two is no Bryce Young, no C.J. Stroud on Blake's list, so we've got to ask you about it. Is that a product of what you've seen or maybe not seen from the quarterbacks, or does that just say more about the guys you chose to put on your list?
It just says more about the guys that I chose. Both of those guys are going to be in it till the end. C.J. Stroud's actually really catching stride right now, and he's steady Eddie, getting better each week. I think he's going to definitely be in the mix, and Bryce Young's been Bryce Young all season. Like I said last week, I feel like he's going to probably be held to a higher standard after winning the award last year. So he's going to have to really put up incredible numbers, big time clutch performances like he did in the Texas game. And he's going to have to do that consistently all year. And Bama's going to have to be playing for the national championship.
Blake, what's crazy about both of these lists is we obviously know a lot about Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. They've been talked about ad nauseum. I think that you can make an argument that without question, the best 2 football players in the country are Will Anderson at Alabama and Brock Bowers at Georgia. Those 2 guys are football players through and through. If you look up the definition of a football player in the dictionary, those are the 2 guys' pictures that you're going to see. And so with the Heisman award-winning trophy, it always becomes crazy because does the best player necessarily get the award, or is it the best quarterback, receiver / skill guy? You never know.
Man, yeah, it's tight end one. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a long shot for either one of them. Like you said, it's a popularity contest, a lot of stats, but at the end of the day, in the NFL draft, Will Anderson's fixing to be a very rich man here in a few months, and Brock Bowers is going to have to wait another year.
Yeah, what's insane to me is you said it. He's not draft eligible this year. He's not draft eligible next year. We won't see him in the NFL until 2024 at the earliest. Blake, how much better can he get with a few more years of college football under his belt?
I mean, he can get bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, obviously, keep developing in the weight room. Georgia does a great job developing their players as anyone in the country. So he surprisingly can get better. And it's a really bad rule. I get the freshmen not being able to come out after 1 season, but after 2 seasons, both Will Anderson and Brock Bowers both are NFL ready. They do not need to go back to college for another year unless they wanted to. So it's a bad rule. It needs to be changed, and hopefully someone that has some power can do that one of these days.
But Blake, what we got to look at this now. Like we can't say it's a bad rule because those are the only 2 guys who probably can do that. There's always an exception to the rule. But could you imagine the amount of sophomores that will be declaring for the draft that have absolutely no chance to make an NFL roster or aren't ready to make that leap? Every year we might have a couple of guys who can do it. Anderson and Brock Bowers being the exception to that rule. But for the most part, guys aren't ready to make that move.
For the most part, they're not. But if you are, it punishes those players. And I think the NBA's got it right. If you don't sign with an agent, you have a chance to go back to school. I think the NFL needs to adopt a similar policy where these guys are getting bad information, leaving early for the wrong reasons, that don't get drafted. That they should have an opportunity to come back and play another year. But I hear what you're saying, but there are some guys, there's a couple of guys every year that could come out as sophomores and be 1st or 2nd round picks easily.
There's a bunch of guys who come out early that get bad information. but that's another show for another day.
I was going to say, I did not expect this conversation to go this way. I know some NFL teams who are planning on drafting, or probably not planning on, but will be drafting in the top 10 next year, would certainly like to have one of these guys on their team, but they're going to have to wait. Selfishly, we as college football fans get to watch them for a few more years.